imagine you're in the time in your life when your business is at its peak, you are doing very well, physically you were in your top physical condition, and then you get the diagnoses. You have breast cancer. Now imagine that this has been the best experience of your life because it's helped you redefine the way you see beauty and happiness. Well, this is exactly what we'll be talking about on today's show. Hello, I'm Shannon Skinner, and this is Extraordinary Women TV. My first guest today is Kristin Crowe. She's the president of T.A.S. Communications and Alarm Systems. She's also recently stepped into the arena of motivational speaking, and she's here today to share her inspired story. Hello, Kristin Crowe.
Hello, Shannon.
It's so nice to have you here on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Now, you know, we just saw each other a few days ago in Mexico, in Isla Mujeres. I got the opportunity to meet you there, hear you speak at the We Move Forward International Women's Day event, and I was really moved and inspired by your story and what you have, what your message is. And now here we are together in the studio in Toronto.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. And Mexico was just an absolutely fantastic experience. So, pleasure meeting you there.
Now, we're going to talk more about that. But let's talk about first your company, what it is that you do now. You run two very successful businesses, T.A.S. Communications and Alarm Systems. How did you get into this business?
Well, second generation actually of a family business. I actually was out on my own and created a career for myself in the retail world and had climbed the corporate ladder over a number of years to a position of a national sales manager, which was something that I always aspired to be. Loved the world of sales, always a different day, a new challenge every day. And as my father started to wind down and put together an exit strategy, I happened to be in a great situation, a great position with some good experience from the career that I had developed over many years, and the sales piece, the marketing piece, the HR piece, the developing of people. He saw that as an opportunity to bring me into the business, and that's how it all happened. So, and there's been no looking back. It's been a fabulous experience. I'm in the business actually with both of my brothers, so it's working out very well.
So, what is the business? I mean, what does the business do exactly?
Well, the communications side of our company, we have a call center that we have clients at a national level. It's a small call center. We operate out of Belleville. We also have a two-way radio business. We have a great partnership with Motorola, very well-known brand name out there, and we service a lot of the public safety. Our major clients in that division of the company, and then also we have a partnership with Bell, and we do a lot of cellular business. On the security side of the company, it's pretty much residential and commercial security, and we do all of our own monitoring. So we operate two actual central stations 24/7, and it's a booming business. It's very exciting, and every day is a new day.
So now you're based in Belleville,
yes,
but your business extends beyond Belleville.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. Pretty much along the 401 corridor from Ottawa east all the way through to sort of Oshawa and a little bit into Toronto in the west, and then down in Prince Edward County and north up to Peterborough, Lindsay, and Bancroft areas. So it's exciting. Keeps us busy.
Well, and give us a sense of the success of your business.
Well, we've grown a lot over the last 10 years. I mean, I came on board in 2001, and we've made a lot of changes. The company's been around for well over 50 years, so we're a community. We're very involved in our community, and we're known in the household in our local areas. But over the last 10 years, well, actually in the last 5 years, we've acquired another business, which has certainly helped us to grow that. That's obviously a way to grow your business, and just made a lot of changes. Probably Well, last year actually, I guess if I want to talk numbers and throw it out there, last year we reached the $10 million mark in revenue, which was a real milestone for us. It's something we sort of set our sights on over the last 10 years, and we finally achieved it. So
congratulations! That's exciting.
Thank you.
Now here you are. If we could just wind back the clock a few years, your business is doing very well. You are in top physical shape. You had just done a marathon, and then you got the news. You got the news that you had breast cancer. Let's go back to that time. How did you feel? I mean, here you are, healthy, successful, money's not an issue, and suddenly you're hit from the left, out of the left field with something that's really turned your life upside down.
Blindsided, I guess is one of the best words to describe it. You said it yourself, totally out of the blue, unexpected. I had trained very, very hard, and let's face it, to run a full marathon, 42 kilometers, is no small commitment, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of work. And I did feel like I was at the physical peak of my life. Ran that marathon in October 2009 in Long Beach, California, and less than a month upon return from running that marathon, and seriously feeling at the top of my game. A regular annual physical at my doctor's office, and it was a physical exam that actually we came across the lump in my right breast, and it was scary. It was a very, very scary day, and I can see it as clearly as the day that it actually happened. My mother is a breast cancer survivor for about 20 years now, so I had been checked on a regular basis, and things seemed to be going great. And after that lump was found, I'll never forget, the diagnosis wasn't confirmed, but it just didn't have a good feel on that particular day. And I clearly remember walking out of my doctor's office that day and sitting in my vehicle. I was by myself, and just putting my head in my hands, and I wept. I was scared. I was petrified. I'm a single mom, 2 young boys at the time who were 10 and 8 years old, and it's the fear of the unknown. You hear the big C word. Am I going to make it? What's next? What's going to happen here? So it was very, very scary.
And so from that point on, you went through treatment. What were your options?
Well, first was a big decision to make on surgery, whether to have just the actual tumor removed or to have a breast moved, and that's a huge decision for a woman when the decision is given to you, when the option is given to you, because it's not always an option. In my particular case it was, and you very quickly go into research mode and try and dig up as much information as you can, and in the end I ended up having my right breast removed. Good thing I did. Pathology reports came back, and basically the information indicated that it was really my only choice, so I'm glad I ended up taking that route. Next decision was whether or not to do chemotherapy. Doctors were all highly recommending it as more of a precautionary measure to keep the cancer from returning. So that was another big decision to make. And they don't really put it out there as an option or a decision. They say you're going to start chemotherapy at this particular time. I personally looked at it as a decision because I thought it's my body, it's my choice. I need to, take a stand here and figure out what I'm going to do. After sort of researching meds and trying to, that's a whole other scary situation. I was close to not taking chemo, but those 2 young boys again were just looking me right in the face every single day, and I thought, if I say no to this and something happens to me, I've got nobody but myself to blame. So went through with that, and radiation therapy following that. So it was a journey. It's a long haul.
So, you know, in your case, you're fortunate. You're one of the women who's had the good news story in the end. And as you said, you know, it's been quite a journey. Now you are stepping up as a speaker. And of course, as we said right off the start, you know, you and I met in Isla Mujeres, Mexico, for the We Move Forward 2012 International Women's Day event, which of course brought together women from Canada, United States, Mexico. To hear you as one of the speakers speak about it, what inspired you to want to get up and share your personal story? I mean, it's such an intimate story to talk about this diagnosis and losing a breast, and what does that actually really mean to us personally, let alone to share it with the world publicly. So what is it inside of you that wanted to share your message?
There's a couple of things there. One, early on in my diagnosis, I guess I realized that a lot of people suffer this debilitating disease very quietly, and they suffer it on their own. And to me, that's very sad. I chose to share with people right off the bat what was happening to me. And as a result of that, I had an absolutely wonderful community surround me and lift me up and give me a tremendous amount of strength to carry me through this ordeal. And that was all as a result of talking about it right from the get-go. And I had a friend of mine, a fellow Rotarian, actually share that with me right in the beginning. And he said to me, "Thank you for telling people what you're going through. It's allowed us to help you. It's allowed us to be around you." So right from the beginning, for me, being public about anything that was happening was reaped positive rewards for the people that were able to help, as well as giving me strength as an individual to get through. So that's a really big part of it. Second to that, I had individuals coming to me to ask me to share my story. So it wasn't something that inside I decided I was just going to go out and start speaking about it. It sort of happened organically. I had different groups coming to me. I had a high school come to me where they have 750 students, and they were doing this big fundraiser for cancer, and said, "Could you come help us kick it off?" And it was just a wonderful experience to have 750 students gathered in a gym, and the amount of feedback that I received as a result of that, the stories, the people that were coming up thanking me for how a little piece of my message inspired them in some small way. And it's just to see how much it's helped people to share the story is what's helping it to continue forward. I guess helping me to continue forward and to continue sharing.
Now, Kristin, we're just going to take a quick break, which means it's my good to know minute, and I know that you've got a great success tip, so jump right in there.
Well, my success tip is to live strong, and I wear this armband to remind me of that every day. And there's a whole other story along with that, but living strong, meaning strong in your body, working out, keeping fit, it's important, and strong in your mind, not to allow the influences and the pressures of society to take you down for what you believe in. So live strong.
Well, that's good to know. Thanks for that. Now, listen, we are going to run a video from the coverage from the We Move Forward 2012 International Women's Day event that took place just this last week on Isla Mujeres, Mexico. And so we're going to run it now, and then you and I can talk about that after. How's that?
Sounds great.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Shannon.
Okay, Aaron, let it roll. Hi, I'm Shannon Skinner. I'm host of Extraordinary at Women TV. I'm reporting from Isla Mujeres in Mexico, the island of women in Mexico. for We Move Forward 2012 International Women's Day event taking place here. We come from Canada, United States, Mexico to celebrate. Now, we're going to hear from some of the speakers, the participants, and I've asked them one consistent question in interviews, and I asked them to be a woman. So let's hear what they have to say.
A boss, a time manager, a friend, a lover, a business person, sharing my knowledge that I have gained throughout my life with other people. I think that's pretty what I feel it means to be a woman.
The whole procreation thing, and that we can actually continue to bring more people, beautiful people onto the planet. Being a mom, being a friend, being a daughter. I don't know, I find a very special connection with other women, and we have this thing about us to lift each other up, and I love doing that.
Well, I'm a woman actually who couldn't have children, so a lot of women here are speaking about that side of being a woman. So because I don't have that, what I do have though is I've got feminine energy, and for me that means being strong, but being sensitive, and being able to push the boundaries of what previously were things that confined women. So I'm happy to be one of those that I guess questions limits and is inspired by those that have overstepped them or gone around.
What could be better? I don't know any other way to say it. I think women are extraordinary. I think we're open to adventure, to learning, to bonding. It means to be luscious and juicy and loving and generous and enjoying life and enjoying passion and caring and giving and creating life and creating art and creating beauty and being part of the universal.
Just sharing, whether it's your intellectual side, your emotional side, your stories, it's really inspiring and profound.
It feels great. I love it. I love my life.
I think the most important thing that you can do is be free, do whatever you want, and give love to everybody you know, and share your charisma, your passions, and everything you can share with all the people around you.
I just believe women actually can make the world a better place when we spend time together and with purpose and meaning.
It means being hard and soft. It means that there are causes and caring, that I have an opportunity as someone who has a strong and comfortable emotional base, that I can use it to make a difference. And I think as a woman we have an easier level of permission to be those things.
Para mí el haber nacido mujer es mi ser. Para mí ser mujer significa ser guía, ser la que educa, la que enseña a la familia, a los hijos. Para mí es todo.
And I see courage and strength when women come together. I also enjoy having fun, and I think when women get together you can be more yourself and learn from each other.
For me, what it means is to be inclusive with our love. Self-love as well as love for community, love for others.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Shannon Skinner, and I'm speaking with Kristin Crowe. She's the president of T.A.S. Communications and Alarm Systems, and a relatively new motivational speaker, or rather new to the motivational speaking arena. So it's so nice to have you, and of course we just saw a video from the We Move Forward 2012 International Women's Day event, which just took place on Isla Mujeres, Mexico. Extraordinary Women TV is a proud media partner, and I was so glad to be there.
It was a fantastic experience. It really was. A lot of very positive energy from a lot of absolutely wonderful women with all kinds of inspiring stories of their own.
Yeah, they came from across Canada, the United States, Mexico. It was a great international event.
It absolutely was, and made some really wonderful connections that I think a lot of the women that were there are going to stay connected for a very long time. I really feel that. I think it was fantastic.
And you know, Janine Halliwell, the organizer, did a fantastic job. So just want to say to you, Janine, congratulations. Kudos on a job well done, great event, and especially for the first year.
I know, and it goes to show you just a small idea again, and you really actually can make it something very big and absolutely wonderful. I think everybody had a fabulous time. So
now, you know, your talk was very touching. As I said, I was really quite inspired and actually moved by it. And something that you had said was this. You know, at some point after you had been diagnosed with breast cancer and you were going through your treatment and through your journey, you'd said, I was beginning to look at the real me. I didn't like what I was seeing. And that was a real turning point for you. How did this experience, did it change the way you see beauty and happiness? And if so, how? Absolutely it did. It changed the way I see a lot of things about myself and about others, but more importantly about myself. Speaking to specifically what you're asking and beauty and happiness, I think as women, and I will speak for myself, I guess, I really realized, sadly, the amount of relevance and importance we put on our external being, the way we look, and comparing ourselves to other people. And I think a lot of that comes from influences from society, and it starts from a very young age. That being said, going through my treatments and being stripped raw of many of those things, for example, having a breast removed, having absolutely no hair on your head or any part of your body for that matter, so it includes your eyebrows and your eyelashes. Right. And you think about that, you think about women and hairstyles and how much money we put into those types of things and makeup, and all of a sudden it's all gone. And the medication that, in my case, I probably put on weight versus some people maybe lose weight. And you look at yourself in the mirror and you have a lot of time on your hands for reflection. You really start to take another look, and you start to look inside at what is really important and who am I? Who am I as a person? Who am I as a woman? And it's really got me thinking in those terms a lot differently. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still like to put myself together just like every other woman on the planet before I go out the door. I'm not afraid to go out the door with a ball hat on my head to go to the gym and those things that I do, but I'm really starting to take a good look inside at myself and who I really am as a woman. And it's changed. It really has. So if we talk about sort of pre-cancer diagnosis and today, the way you see beauty, I mean, how would you define it if you were to define it? Pre-diagnosis? I probably didn't look at, I probably looked at physical attributes much more than
what I should have been looking at. I mean, I prefer to probably talk about the way I see it now, and I look more at attributes and characteristics being like how much love somebody has, how much somebody actually gives, how much somebody actually lifts other people up. Those types of things, caring, authenticity, kindness, doing what's right, always telling the truth. Those types of things being more descriptive of beauty than the physical being. So it's just, I do a lot of reality checks on a regular basis now on those types of things than I would have pre-diagnosis.
Now, when you were going through the treatment, I mean, this is something that so many women experience. So when you were actually going through the treatment, and I'm sure there were times when you weren't feeling very well through it, how did you maintain the feeling of, I'm beautiful?
It was tough. And there were days when I didn't think I was so beautiful. So I think, to be totally honest, I didn't maintain the feeling of I'm beautiful, because I certainly didn't feel beautiful. But I can really take that back to what I was talking about earlier, and community and people surrounding and lifting up and supporting. I remember one day an individual amongst a group of very close friends randomly pulling the hat off my head. I never wore a wig. I wore hats, little toques, ball hats, whatever. Randomly pulling it off my head and saying, you are who you are. Just be you. Why do you need to wear that? You're amongst good friends here. And it was just such a feeling of freedom. And for me to be able to walk around amongst groups of people with absolutely nothing, it was an experience, Shannon. It really, truly was.
So without nothing, just to clarify, without hair.
Yeah.
You mean? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally bald, no makeup on your face, and just being. Just being. Right? And realizing that people are accepting of you for who you are, not what you look like. It was a huge, huge eye-opener and awakening for me.
And have you found a greater sense of happiness through the experience?
The biggest thing there, and it's something that I've always been challenged with, and I continue to be challenged with, but I'm so much more aware of it now, and I work very, very hard at it, is taking time for quiet and reflection, and just really being aware of my surroundings. The lifestyle that I live, and I know many other people live it, is we are on a treadmill and we are running constantly and non-stop. And there's a lot of laughter and there's a lot of happiness in that. But to really make time for quiet and just to be, and living each day to the fullest, there's something to be said for that. Because when you go through an experience like this, for me, you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I mean, I ran a marathon, and like less than a month later, I was looking cancer in the face, right? So I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So to answer your question, absolutely, absolutely. Finding more happiness and making time to realize what's going on around me and what brings me happiness.
Yeah, and to that point, one of the things that you did talk about in your at the International Women's Day event was you came to the conclusion that you were always finding distraction or busy. You were, if there was a challenge or an issue that came up, you got busy, and that you were really great at that, great at the distractions. And that there was a day when you said, no, I have to stop, I have to heal my body. And that was very difficult for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it continues to be, but I'm getting much better at it, and I'm realizing the benefits of that. So, and I think it's really, really important. And it just goes to show that adversity can bring some pretty positive things to your life. So, you know, that's another important lesson for me, is we're all going to face it in a lifetime. It's going to come to us in different colors and different levels of complexity, and whatever it's going to be for you is going to be different for me. But to be able to embrace it, because there's a lesson there. And if you can keep your mind and your heart open, there's something positive on the other side. Not going to be easy getting through. Nobody said it was going to be easy to get through, but there's something positive there on the other side.
Now, you had the opportunity to meet Lance Armstrong, and not only meet Lance Armstrong, but you cycled with him. Okay, do tell.
That's a long story, but very interesting. Group of 50 cyclists, and had to raise a whack of money, $25,000 minimum actually, to get into this particular ride. And it was a fundraiser for breast cancer, so it had my name all over it. Lance Armstrong's story was one that was handed to me during some of my darkest days of treatment, and very, very inspiring for me to read about a man who was a professional athlete, got through the challenges of cancer and surgery and treatments, and came back to be so successful. So yeah, I was able to ride with Lance and 50 other cyclists in the Canadian Rockies, and each one of us had an opportunity to ride up at the front of the peloton with Lance. It was challenging for me, let me tell you, because I was just on the heels of my treatment and still taking some pretty serious meds. So it was a very physical, difficult challenge for me, but I made it happen. And riding alongside of him was it was just unbelievable on so many levels. I mean, a guy's story who had pulled me out of some pretty dark days, hearing about his situation with cancer. He was raised by a single mom. Here I am, a single mom, raising 2 young boys. But to be up there and talk to him and try to keep pedaling and keep your eyes on the road, because you don't want to take the cyclists out behind you, and you want to, like, you're beside Lance Armstrong here. I mean, come on, right? You're looking him in the eye, you want to have a conversation with him, you're trying to keep your breath, and he's pretty good to look at, pretty nice to look at. So it's not bad riding in behind him either, but sorry, I have to be honest. But he's an interesting guy, and it was just an unbelievable experience for me. I'm very thankful that I had that opportunity.
Well, Kristin, I have really enjoyed this time, and unfortunately our time is up. But it's been so inspiring for me to hear your story and your journey, and thank you so much for sharing your message with my viewers today. And I certainly wish you all the best. Thanks for coming in all the way from Belleville, and would love to do this with you again in the future. So best of luck to you.
Thanks, Shannon. Thanks for the opportunity. It's been great to be here.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and actually before we do, I'll just to say that if you want more information about Kristin Crowe, visit the website at extraordinarywomentv.com. You'll find this video there, as well as her bio and more information about her and her journey. So I do invite you to visit that. Well, in the second half of the show, we're going to be talking about yoga, laughter yoga, and using yoga to heal. So stay where you are.